Hello, right, here we are, week 172, Monday, fish room maintenance. Just going to put the last bit of food in for the fish, because they know there's some here still. So, just get out of the way, you can see that, yeah. Right, so this week I have, so if you look there, I've added a new DOS dose. So I bought that DOS dose for this tank, but obviously this tank is taking longer than I expected. I'll get onto that in a bit. But basically I've added that dose because I've decided that I can't actually physically get enough pellets in my reactor to get the nitrates down where I want them really. It's just not big enough. So I've done additional dosing of MP backbone balance, which is basically a liquid carbon source rather than the pellets, which are a solid one. You can use them in conjunction, so there's not a problem. I was trying to do it by hand, like manually in the morning when I feed the fish, and I was just like, I just forget. And I don't like dumping things in one big splash, so to speak. So I decided I had to dose it and they're doing nothing, so I've fitted it and I'm going to dose. I think I'm dosing about 30 ml of that MP backbone balance in addition to the pellets, and hopefully over the next few weeks I can just slowly bring the nitrates down a bit, because I think they're around 30-ish. I mean, it's not a mad number, but I'd like to get in kind of 20 and below. 15 to 20 would be quite nice. Yeah, so that's that. So I decided to just add that. He was sitting there doing nothing, so it seemed a bit silly really. The other thing I've done is my phosphates come very close to bottoming out. So I think the lowest I recorded was 0.02, which is way too low for my liking. So I was trying to, because it was bobbing along really nicely at kind of 0.08 to 0.1. Everything looked good. I was happy, you know, not getting any silly amounts of algae growth or anything. And I was trying to think why it was suddenly bottom out, and I was thinking the only thing I've actually changed is I turned the lights up. If you remember me saying I turned the lights up a few weeks ago, then I turned them up slightly more a couple of weeks ago. So I guess maybe that's just made the coral uptake of the phosphates a bit higher. But yeah, I really didn't want them to get stripped down to zero, so obviously I pulled right back on the Lanthanum dosing, and I think hopefully I've escaped bottoming out. So now they're going back up. So now I've got to do that whole thing about testing the phosphates every day, every other day, and working out the dose of the Lanthanum, because I was dosing 18 ml a day. I took it right down to, well, I went to 10 and then I went to 5. Now they're coming back up. So now I need to start upping the dosing of the Lanthanum, just because I don't want it to shoot up the other way. Yeah, so I've got to go through that whole scenario of trying to find out where it's going to settle out again. But I guess turning the lights up, it may mean that I dose maybe 15 ml a day rather than 18 or something, to keep the phosphates at around that 0.08 to 0.1 mark. Yeah, so there's that. Done the dosing. I think that's really about it on this tank. That Setosa is very slowly growing back. I don't remember that, it was February? No, it wasn't February, was it? No, it was it was when I was away. When did I go away? July. Where are we now? In July, yeah, August. Yeah, so if you remember, I had a little temperature spike and the nitrate reactor had a bit of a blip. So yeah, it's taken a good few weeks, because the other corals have all kind of recovered. They had a bit of a sulk, but that one, that was the only one that kind of stripped badly really. But it's got two really nice growth edges on either side of it, but the edge that stripped is still really slowly coming back. I'm surprised how long it takes. It's normally quite a fast growing coral really. But it's going in the right direction. I've just got to be patient, I guess. The Goni seems to have, I don't know what was going on with that Goni. It still looks like something at it. It's still got an area on this side where the polyps are shorter than on the top on the other side, but it is always out now. So I'm hoping whatever was bugging it has stopped really. But it looks fine. The last week or so it's been out and acting quite normal. So I put a camera on there. I stared at the camera for ages. I'll never see anything really go near it or bother it. So it's just one of those mysteries of the tank. Yeah, everything else seems to be quite happy, jogging along. Yeah, got some nice growth actually. It seems to be doing quite well. So hopefully it'll just carry on as it is. Yeah, so that's kind of it for that tank. So this tank is, oh, also that, so I don't remember last week I changed the one behind me for a new one and swapped this one out. So this was the really grubby one which was there, which you couldn't see anything in there basically. So I've just sat there in citric acid for a couple of days and nice and clean, make sure it's running nice and smooth, and in 6 months or so when that one's all grubby I'll just swap it out again. So the only difference I've noticed, because this is the original one I bought when I plumbed the fish room probably 4 years ago, is that's got a titanium rod in there, and the new one has got what appears to be a plastic rod. So I'd imagine they've saved a bit of money by using a plastic rod rather than a titanium one. But that's the only difference I can see. Right, so this tank, I've refilled this tank 2 or 3 days ago, because originally when I filled it, so this thing here is that infamous Redsea diaphragm valve. I don't really know anyone who likes them that much. They're very just, I don't know, just not a particularly good design really. But I don't even know, I don't know if Redsea still use them on their new tanks. I don't know, to be honest. I get a feeling they probably do, but I'm not sure. Anyway, when I put it on and filled the tank up, there was a little weepy leak, and it's very difficult in the cabinet to trace exactly where it's coming from. I thought it was coming from this seal on this diaphragm valve. So I took it apart, cleaned it all. It looked really good condition, to be honest, because I'm not sure that tank's ever been used, because it was really clean in there. And I put it all back together, I put it on, and it leaks again. And then I spent some time just staring in there with my torch on, and I realised that the leak is actually from, there's a solder, that's a soldered joint there. So this bit of pipe is pushed into that, and then it's polypiped or poly-welded there. And there's a tiny little, must be like a hairline crack in that seal, and the water just slowly drips out. So I can't do anything with that. I can't fix it, because you can't, as far as I'm aware, you can't anyway, you can't undo these pipe welds. So what I did think is put this fitting at the top, and the size of that tube pipe is universal, I think, across a lot of the Redsea tanks. So this is the Gen 1 tank. This has been changed on the Gen 3 apparently. The thread is different. So if I buy a new one from a Gen 3, the thread won't fit the bulkhead that goes through that tank. I've managed to find a reefer who has got an old, or the pipe left from an old 350 Redsea, and that kind of comes down with an elbow like that, I think, but he's just chopped that bit off, so I've got this connection, and I can add some 32mm pipe and a gate valve and get it down into the sump somehow. Probably won't be as pretty as that, because it's kind of weird shaped, but I'll get it in there somehow, and I can dump all of that, get rid of that gate valve because they're pretty useless. Get rid of the diaphragm valve and fit a gate valve. So that was that. So the other good thing is, when I was fitting that, I don't know why I'm pointing up there, but when I was fitting that dose downstairs, I had to go and look for some dosing line in my shed of stuff. When I was rooting around, I found a brand new Deltec pump for the skimmer, which I'm going to run on that tank, which is handy because the skimmer's down there and the pump is in it, but all of this, the actual power and the connection and the controller was all missing. I didn't know where it was. So now I know that I can either take that one out and put that one in, or just use the controller onto the one I've got. So that was fortuitous. I also found a complete Tunze Osmo regulator nano, so that will do fine for that tank. So that means that's sorted. So the only thing I've got to do really for this tank in terms of top up is you get a little sit on tank like that. So that's for the RO water, and you just got a little nozzle there. I'm pretty sure that you get a little like a flexi hose with a little valve on there. I think you do. Yeah. I've got one somewhere anyway. But anyway, that is just ridiculously small, even for that size tank. So that probably will not get used. So I haven't worked out how I'm going to do it yet. So I don't know whether I'm just going to put a big drum next to this, or potentially I could leave that in there and fill it with my RO on a timer, which is what I do with my one down there. And just time it so it fills it every day with 2 litres of RO or something. But it's got to be automated because there's no way in the world I'm going to remember to top that up. It's never going to happen. But at least I've got a regulator to turn it on and off. And the other thing I found was a R20 Jebao power head, never been used. So that can also go in there. Probably won't be enough, I wouldn't have thought. Return of 1 power head, but it's a start. So I can fit all this just to get it set up. And the last thing I found, which I can't really show you, but is I had this Eheim pump on there for a return, but it's not controllable. It's just, well, it's kind of controllable, but not like that. It hasn't got a controller. You have to turn the thing at the front to get the water flow. It was quite noisy actually, but I mean I did just chuck it in there. I probably could have made it more quiet, but I just like the idea of being able to control the return on it. So this is a little, I don't even know what it is actually. That's a J card. I can't read that. Pump. It's very small, but I've had it on when I did the test fill and it seemed to be fine. So hopefully that will do for that. So other than the fact that I've stolen the dose that I had for that, which I won't need yet anyway really, I'll just need the plumbing to get that going really. So once I can get that plumbed in and I know it's not leaking obviously, I can move forward with it slowly but surely. Yeah. So, oh yeah, so the other thing I had to do this week was my Kalk stirrer stopped working. So I came in one night, I come in the summer, I shut that door down there just before I go to bed really, so it's like any time sort of between 11 and 12, and I just come in, obviously all the lights are out so it's reasonably dark, and I just listen basically to make sure everything sounds correct. And I noticed that the Kalk stirrer was making this clicky noise, so I know what it is because I've heard it before. So what happens is, because I just dump Kalk in there, when the pH goes down and the alk starts to drop, I just take a little ramekin dish and I chuck some calcium. I just literally lift the top up, I turn the Versa pump on, I don't turn the stirrer off, I dump my Kalk in there and I put the stirrer back in, and then maybe half hour later I put the Versa pump back on so it starts going back into the tank. And that's basically all I do to keep it topped up. But eventually what happens is the sediment at the bottom where it settles out gets thicker and thicker, and then it becomes thick enough where it obstructs the stirrer going round. And when that happens, the motor's got like a clutch mechanism in it, and it just clicks and you can hear it. So the second I walked in, I went, Kalk stirrer's not working. So because it was 11 o'clock at night and I was not prepared to turn all the lights on and waste an hour or whatever sorting it out, I just lifted the top up with these little plastic spacers. So that's a 5mm spacer. That's literally all it takes. You lift the stirrer 5mm and it continues to rotate and it works. Yeah, so I made a whole video on that actually, so I won't spend too long on it. But basically I've just cleaned it all out and put it all back, put new Kalk in, and it's all good. And then hopefully that will last me for probably 3 or 5 months. I might actually, I might not wait for it to break. I might schedule it. So maybe I think every 2 months when I do a day like this on a water change, I will just take it down, clean it all out and redo it. Because it works really well when I first clean them out. And then obviously over the months, it just seems to be less efficient. But certainly like raising the pH and putting the Kalk in the tank. But yeah, so I might make it part of the regular schedule maintenance rather than just waiting for it to not work and then do it. So I think that's it, guys. I think that is it for this week. Oh yeah, I've decided that the sump that I've been talking about for ages and moving that tank up and adding the crate that I bought to do it, I was intending to do that in the next few weeks really, but because I booked that holiday, which is 5 weeks away, I'm not happy with the amount of time. Even if I started it now, I know by the time it's all done and I've got all the bits bought and ready to put it all together, it's going to be too close to me going away, and I don't want to start running a whole new kind of sump layout like 2 or a week before I go away for 2 weeks. So I'm just like, nah. And when I come back, obviously I've got a period of time where I've got no, have I? No, I'm away again in November. When I come back in November, I've got a period of time, months hopefully, where I'm not going away anywhere. So, and that'll be into winter then, and you have more time because you're not distracted by all the sunny weather outside. Yeah, so I'll probably get all of that done, yeah, as it's coming towards Christmas, to be honest. So yeah, so that is that. Yeah, that's it. Right, short, sweet. So I hope you enjoyed it. I've got no idea. But anyway, that is it for this week, guys. I will speak to you next week.